I personally believe the Imperial left flank held very well because they had ungodly amounts of Lebanus Vanquishers and Shadow Swords. And then we had the Imperial right flank. And I don't know if he's still here, but F in the chat for Commander Conrad. The right flank went a bit squiffy for the Imperials. I think it was going reasonably well until an orcified Manta turned up and dropped 72 Meganobs on the right flank. That's a lot of Meganobs. And Commander Conrad was in command of the right flank.
Hello there, I'm CmdrConrad. You may know me as the commander at Oslin's Shield on the right flank, if you're from the wonderful Mordian Glory community, of course. In this video, I'll be going briefly into the construction of my forces and my experience at Thanatos. It won't be an in-depth analysis of, like, strategy or turn-by-turn or yada yada. It's more of a general, this is what happened, kind of story experience, because I'm not really, qualified to talk about 40k rules, and I'll get into that later. So instead of trying to pretend like I know what I'm talking about, let's talk about something I have a little bit of a better idea about. And let's talk about our sponsor, Tabletop Stronghold. Now, let's get some key information about our wonderful wizard over here. Tabletop Stronghold is a small business based in West Virginia, and they actually ship across the world to a degree. So, you know, to the USA, Canada, UK, Australia, New Zealand, and most of EU. For free. But anyways, let's actually talk about the case. And also, let's talk about the fact that there's a Black Friday sale. Hopefully it's still going by the time I upload this. I've been very slow. I'm so sorry. Please don't take my cases away. I love these cases. Now, if you buy these trays, you can expect to get some steel trays with a bunch of magnets. And it also has adjustable tray heights for different mini sizes, which is really convenient. And I'm gonna be completely honest, unless you're buying like the smallest case, I think you could probably like get 3 to like 6k points of like any army into like the upper 2 cases, which is really good. Did I forget to mention this comes with magnets, and also that this case is really easy to build, and also it is like really sturdy. What I'm basically saying is, you should check out the link in my description and consider buying one of these cases. They are very good, and I can absolutely vouch for them. And also it'd help me out with my next negotiations with the wizard. Gambling. So how does gambling connect to me getting back into Warhammer? It's a bit of a weird story, but trust me, it is pretty relevant to me actually getting back into it. And to be honest, without this little coincidence happening, I don't think I would actually be back in Warhammer by now. So it starts with me doom scrolling TikTok. Yes, I watch short form content, how could you tell? But anyway. Oh yeah, so before I go into full detail about the story, context, I did play Warhammer when I was younger, but the only bit of like guard units I kept from Warhammer back then was a single Baneblade, because it was a present from my dad when I was like 15. Lovely present, still have it, used it at Thanatos, it got tabled immediately, but anyway, that's later. But yeah, basically I'm just doom scrolling because I'm having like a really bad week, and I see a very odd ad. I see an ad where it's like a kind of gambling site, but like with tickets, you know, like how you can buy tickets so you get a chance to win something. But it was for combat patrols, and I was thinking about it because I was watching a lot of wargaming content because I was getting into bolt action and I was watching other content creators that did Warhammer again because I was like, wow, this stuff looks really cool. And they updated my favorite faction. Whoa, that's so cool. So I was thinking about it. I was, going through the absolute worst. So I was like, you know what? Fuck it. It can't get worse. So I click the site. I look at the ticket prices. They're very cheap. They're like less than £1 for a single ticket. So I was like, fuck it, I'll buy like 15 tickets, I guess, or like 30. It was like 15 or 30 tickets, so I spent like 15 or 30 pounds on a complete little gamble bit, which I highly don't recommend, especially if you're like going through it and not having a great time. Like, I really do not advise gambling. It never works out. Do not put it all on black. It's just really not worth it. Like, I'm just gonna keep saying it. Gambling is not worth it. I do not advise gambling. This isn't me saying, go gamble, you'll get into Warhammer this way. This is just my really poor excuse of how I ended up getting back into Warhammer. Because what happened is, I completely forgot about it. I bought like 15 to 30 tickets, completely forgot, slept on it for like a week or two. I don't remember. It was basically long enough where I was like, maybe I can't redeem my combat patrol anymore. But they were very chill and they were just like, oh, what combat patrol do you want? And I was like, Imperial Guard. And they were like, what's Imperial Guard? And I'm like, the Astra Militarum. And they were like, ah, yes, Astra Militarum. And so I get my first combat patrol out of it, which is really handy because honestly, I only had my Baneblade at the time. Combat Patrol is a huge victory to get for £30, considering these things were like £100 when I was buying them. So I got, a command squad, 20 infantry, my little cannon things, and a sentinel. So plus that with a Baneblade, that's a pretty good force. Not worthy for an apocalypse game. So what if I won another combat patrol? So, long story short, I won 2 more combat patrols. I actually won it for less than £100 in total, but the problem is I kept gambling because I wanted to win more combat patrols. Eventually I spent like a total of £180, which is still a very good deal in my opinion, and instead of, continuing to lose money, I was like, you know what? 3's enough. This is a good victory. This is a good starting point for me to get back into the hobby, which it was. Now, at this rate into the story, it's been, I think, a few months since I won the combat patrols. I was also selling stuff on eBay at the time, so I ended up getting enough money to buy a few Lehman Russes, and my best friend Kian was picking up on the fact I was getting back into Warhammer, because, all of a sudden, I was just talking about Warhammer, like, endlessly. I was, like, talking about all sorts of plans I had and all of that stuff, so he kind of picked up on it. And so as an early birthday gift, he gave me a voucher with quite a decent amount of money on it. Now, my options were kind of limited, because at the time I was kind of eyeing up basilisks and tanks, because I was like, I have 60 guard infantry, and at the time Krieg were not an infantry option yet. They were kind of just a kill team, and the kill team box was kind of expensive, because back then my logic was, why get a kill team of 10 guys when I can get a Lehman Russ? So my options were between like 3 Death Strikes plus some other options, maybe 3 Basilisks, or maybe some Chimeras, or 3 Rogel Dawns. And obviously I picked 3 Rogel Dawns, because at the time Rogel Dawns were like kind of a bit of a joke in terms of like how overpowered they were, so I was like, what if I get 3 of them? So, before it's even my birthday, or before I even step foot in Ireland, I have a pretty decent list. At this point, I could play a regular game if I built all of this up. But a regular game was not my goal. No, sir. It was an apocalypse game at Thanatos, because around this point, I watched a lot of Morty and Glory. I've been in his streams, like, kind of vibing, and I'm like, you know what? I kind of want to go to Thanatos. Because, I live on the same, little shitty island. Why the hell not? And thus, that was my goal, to keep expanding my army to the point where I could go to Thanatos and hopefully not get tabled immediately. That was the plan. You know, if I could survive a round or two without immediately dying, that would be a victory. So, that was the plan. But yeah, as we started heading to Ireland, my journey, or, well, month, would become pretty busy all of a sudden, particularly with building Warhammer. Basically, the second I got off the boat and I was able to settle down into my bedroom, I immediately started cracking on with Warhammer. And I got through quite a lot of it, actually. And even when we were leaving, I built 2 Rogel Dawns on a fucking ferry on the way back to England. Which was a little bit nightmarish because it was a little bit rocky, so I had to be a little bit careful. But I think they turned out pretty good. It's the Rogel Dawns in this image, actually, that you're currently looking at. If you're actually watching my video and not playing on your other monitor, but anyway. So on my birthday, on the 14th, a lot of cool things happened. But one of the very notable cool things was we traveled quite a bit to get to a Warhammer store, and I decided, you know what? As a kid, I was getting absolutely fucked over in so many games against like these rich entitled kids that had like, you know, their own little big warrior mech things, you know, like for Chaos, like they had that demon engine, and for the orcs they had the orc stomper, and all I had back then as a kid was my Dark Angel Terminator squad. So in my heart I always kind of wanted to get my own like equivalent to a stomper or a demon engine or whatever it's called. So for my birthday I got a Castellan. Not a Cadian Castellan, a Knight Castellan, which was really awesome in my opinion. All those years of getting my ass absolutely kicked in by people with orc stompers and demon engines, I finally had my own thing. Oh yeah, I'm gonna quickly complain about this because I really don't know where else I can shove this in the video or like just kind of complain / bitch about it. So, 2 days after my birthday, by the way, this all takes place back in 2024, in August, so, you know, if anyone's, like, really good at remembering things, you probably know what I'm about to complain about. 2 days after my birthday, Games Workshop is like, let's announce the coolest thing to ever exist. And that's the Tempest Aquilans with the, Tau and stuff. You know, like, kill team stuff. And I love Scions. And these guys are basically Scions with jump packs. So I was a little bit upset that this wasn't, like, announced, revealed, and, yada yada like months before my birthday because it means I couldn't just ask for like 3 of these squats for my birthday. But, I'm not going to complain. I love the Castellan. I love it. I'm going to remember it forever. It's great, and it's still my collection, and it served me well in Thanatos. And, sad thing, I still don't own any equivalents. I kind of just keep pushing them to the side of my priority list, even though they're, like, probably my favorite, like, looking unit now. So, who knows? Maybe next Thanatos. So, to wrap up this section really quickly, because I completely forgot about this. Well, actually, I didn't forget about it. I just forgot to, like, properly, plan it in the video. But basically, after we came back from Ireland, a week later, I went to Poland, and I ended up coming back with 3 squads of Death Corps Creek, and I built a Rogel Dawn there. I lied. I didn't build 2 Rogel Dawns on the boat. I built 1. I wish I built them both there, but anyway, that's a different thing. So, after I came back from Poland, after, beating a friend, it was all really good and well. So I had 3 squads of Death Corps Creek. I ended up buying a 4th one just so I'd have 2 squads of 20, just to, balance it out and all that stuff. But now my army was looking way more impressive than, it originally was about a year earlier. So, my dreams of Thanatos were becoming way better all of a sudden. Alright, chapter 3 is more like me gonna bitch about, like, how hard it was to build stuff. And also, remember how I, was gifted, like, 2, like, groups of Krieg kill team, and then I bought 2 more for myself, so I'd have, like, 2 squads of 20 Krieg, right? Back when it was, just kill team. Around this time, GW was like, what if we just release them as normal infantry? And all of a sudden, I felt like a complete fucking idiot. Because now they were cheaper, way more affordable, and not just that, they released multiple cool units alongside it. I was livid. It would be, a light way to put it. So, during this time, I got some of the new Krieg stuff, and I was like, you know what, screw it. Let's get this Dreer guy, let's do the, Krieg, Death Riders, and all that little nice stuff, and it'll all be fine. And then all of a sudden, when I was looking at the calendar, I was like, wait a minute. I don't actually have as much time as I thought to build and paint everything for Thanatos, and this did become a bit of a struggle. I ended up doing a shit ton of streams on my YouTube channel building stuff for Thanatos, and people from Mordian's community actually popped in to check, and they were like, "You're really doing this very last minute," and I was like, "No, I'm not." I say very nervously as I get my dad to paint my Acadian shock troops at the event itself. So, yeah, by the time we get to the event, most of my stuff isn't actually painted. All my vehicles were painted, so basically my main force, which was just my vehicles, really, because my infantry did nothing almost at the event at all. So I did paint my vehicles, I painted my Valkyrie, I painted my Kazakin, and I painted all sorts of stuff. And also, just a quick little funny thing to mention, because I want to keep this section very short, because a lot of it is just, like, complaining that, I didn't give myself enough time to actually prepare for an apocalypse game. Big surprise, but, it was really fun. My dad came back early from an event to drive me all the way up to Manchester from where I'm. It was like a very long drive, and during it, we were just blasting the Clondafu theme from Starship Troopers in the car for like 5 hours. It was a great time. I loved it, and my dad also liked the event like a lot. So let's get to the next chapter, and let's actually talk about the event finally, because I haven't really been doing that. So let's get into the event. Now, I'm just going to quickly apologize if this video does not seem as high quality as you may have expected. I had a lot bigger plans for this. I was going to make it a bit more grand and a bit more in-depth on the analysis and strategy of it. But I was kind of just running out of time. I kept getting sidetracked by other things. a lot happened this year, which kind of fucked with my mental a bit too much. So I kind of just wanted to get this over with and just talk about it from my experience because, again, I really did enjoy this event. And to be honest, I absolutely despised making this video, which sounds bad, but I'm kind of like 6 months late to the party at this rate talking about it, so meh. Anyway, enough apologizing. It's time to make a promise. Next time I go to an event like this, I will make a way better, high quality video. Or at least I will try to. That's the promise, that I'm gonna try. Not that I will, but that I will try, because I have promised a lot of things this year, and I've kind of fell flat on many of those promises. Sadly, but anyway, let's actually get into the fun of it, and let's talk about my experience at the event in full detail, to the best of my memory, because I have really shit memory. So after listening to the Kandafu drop theme for like 6 hours in a car, we finally get to the event, and everything's being like kind of explained, by like Mordian, and we're all there. I'm probably like semi-fangirling because I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Mordian. I watched this person, and I'm actually seeing them, and it's like really cool and stuff. Until we had to actually like find out where the fuck we're supposed to be and all that kind of stuff. I was like, where am I supposed to go? And I was like panicking, like messaging John on my phone. He's like the only person that I actually know from the event, like to a degree. And I don't know what anyone looks like, and I'm just like, oh fuck me, where am I supposed to go? What the fuck? And it was a little bit of a nervous wreck at first. It was very stressful. Let's put it that way. It was very stressful because if I don't know what I'm doing and I'm supposed to be doing something, I get easily stressed. Fortunately, though, after like a few minutes, it all gets sorted. Like I find out where I'm supposed to be. I get introduced to some people. I finally meet John, and it's all chill. So, upside, a little bit less stressed. So it started working. Like everything was working. Everything went well. And then the game actually begun, and then everything started not working again immediately. Because, funnily enough, I didn't have enough time to fully verse myself in the rules. I knew some of the basic rules. I didn't know most of my rules. For example, for both days of the event, I forgot my lethal hits on 6s, which is kind of important considering I was playing Combined Arms and, a lot of my forces were like Rogel Dawns and Vanquishers. This rule would have been fucking helpful to remember. Like, really helpful to remember, and I just didn't remember it at all. Like, it was mentioned to me in the beginning, and then, poop, flew out my head. Completely forgot about it. So, that's on me. So honestly, now that I'm, like, rewatching a lot of this is just, like, incoherent rambling. Again, I'm terribly sorry if anyone actually makes it this far in the video, but this is the best you're getting, because, unfortunately, I didn't really write anything down to like go through the events of the event properly. So let me give a quick rundown, like a very quick simplified what happened on my flank, because that's probably what you do want to know. Basically, I start the round with my movements. I have like sentinels and like infantry, and it's very small and such, and it's like, oh hey, that's a big cannon. I hope that won't be important. It did become important because on day 2 I found out, wait a minute, that cannon is going to shoot the Star of Yarick, or the Station of Yarick. I forgot what it was called exactly. I'm so sorry, but it's basically the space station above Thanatos, and the cannon was planning to shoot at it. And it became very apparent that if I don't hold out, the entire flank will just collapse completely, because everyone is focused on defending like the main objective, and they're all dealing with their own sides. So I was already being pretty much enough of a burden by not knowing how to like play the game properly. So I was like, okay, let's try do the best I can before I have to like beg for help. 2 turns go by and I'm like, okay, I need help because I am getting blasted off the board. But I'm also blasting the other guy off the board as well. It's not completely one-sided. until an orcified, like, massive ship comes in and just drops so many orcs on me. And it's not just any regular orcs. It's like really well guarded orcs. I probably should look it up, but I don't remember what they're called. Mordia mentions it in the beginning of the video. You heard it. You know what I'm talking about, probably. And on the second day, when I was fighting this, it was a fight for my life. Everything was going like really hard. It was like, okay, I am struggling right now, and I deploy my Baneblade, and I was running it as like a proxy. I was like, oh, it's a regular Baneblade, but I'm gonna run it as a Shadow Sword, so it will do something hopefully. It didn't do anything. I missed, and the next turn it got blasted off the table. Very sad, very tragic. It happens. And, I'm getting some small victories. But then there's one round where I basically shoot everything at a single Malkador. It doesn't kill it. Like, I shoot all my Rogel Dawns, I shoot all of my Vanquishers. I basically fire everything in my arsenal at it. And it doesn't even take it down to half, I'm pretty sure. And I was so furious. I was like, I wanted to scream fuck so badly. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I was absolutely livid. But, not at the player or anyone. I was just livid at how shit my luck was with dealing with it. And also, kind of not knowing that this tank in particular was very good at tanking shots. So I should have probably just kept focusing his other units. But shit happens. You live, you learn. It happens. So, you know what? There is actually something I am going to complain about that really did annoy me at this event, which wasn't like the players or the event itself. It was actually just my tanks. When they died, I got so unlucky. They kept exploding and they kept damaging each other. There was a point where a tank exploded and killed another tank, and then it also exploded and it like almost killed another tank. I was at my limits when that happened. Like, I had to go to like my teammates. I was like, look, I need new units. I'm getting absolutely fucked. It was so bad. Like, most of my vehicle, like, I don't want to say most of the damage my vehicles took was from other vehicles exploding after being killed, but I think that might have been the case, to be honest, of how often it was fucking happening. But in the end, what basically happened, because I do want to kind of just like sum this up, because I can talk about this event forever. If anyone wants to like know more or like ask questions, just leave a comment, and I am more than willing to like answer it, or even just ask me in my streams, because this event was probably one of the most fun things I've done in like a long time in terms of like social event. So it was really fun, and there was like a lot of little random details I kind of randomly start remembering. Like, for example, this entire video, I just kind of don't mention the fact that I'm basically fighting like 4 different like people on my left side, or like how my Valkyrie that I spent a lot of time on just kind of got shot down immediately after being deployed. And, there was like this Kazakhstan squad I had called the Crimson Clovers, and they do nothing. Like, after they get shot down, I just kind of leave them where the, Valkyrie crashed, and they get shot at occasionally, and when they got shot at, I was like, wait a minute, these guys still exist? Okay, I'm just gonna run them off the table. Because I just kind of forgot about them, and they were like on a different part of the table where I had no units, so I was like, that's kind of annoying. I think I'm just gonna take them off and stuff. It was really funny. There was a lot of funny interactions where people were just like shooting my stuff. It's like I'm trying to do a turn, and there's just like 4 people lining up saying, hey, I want to shoot your thing, and I'm like, oh god damn it. Like, every time. It was really funny and really humorous, and I really had a amazing time at this event. Like, there was no like ill will towards anyone. It seemed like everyone was having like a good time, I think, in my opinion. Like, from my perspective, I think everyone was having a very good time. Because I certainly was. Like, I didn't hate my opponent. I never was like, I'm gonna kill this guy or anything. Like, he wasn't being annoying. He was like really chill. He was like literally holding my hand with like assisting me with the rules. Not like literally, but he, was basically guiding me on how to like play my army because I didn't know. So I think that says a lot about this community, well, Mordian's community in particular, because all the people there basically helped me with like, getting through this event, and I had a blast. I didn't leave the event feeling like absolute shit. I was really happy about how it all went out. Besides the lethal hits, if I remember the lethal hits, I think I would have done a lot better probably, but I don't think it would have changed the outcome. Because in the end, the command center on the board did explode, and I mean, to this day, I don't really know how this would have ended, because on one end, the left flank went really well, but then on the other end, the right flank was very kind of iffy, because, I was struggling to hold it, and then in the, I retreated my, like, HQ off the board, because I was basically ready to, like, call it there, because I was so exhausted. And then other people ended up taking over the remaining units I had, and they actually did really good with them. Especially when they used the combined arms damage. All of a sudden, they were doing a lot of damage against, some of the Mega Knobs, and I was like, maybe if I remembered this rule, I would have done a lot better. But anyway, that was the only thing that really annoyed me in, like, hindsight. I still think about that damn fucking rule I forgot to use, but that was the only thing that really annoyed me. I really did enjoy this event. Again, I'm kind of rambling like an absolute moron, but everyone was really friendly. Like, my teammates were great. The enemies were fantastic, and it was all really chill, honestly. Would go again. I mean, I am going to go again. I already booked a ticket for, like, next year. So hopefully next year I'll do a lot better. I mean, I will do a lot better, because I'm going to have a lot of regular practice games with some friends, and we're gonna get this like all figured out hopefully, because I don't want to be a burden on people with them having to like hold my hand through the event again. But yeah, I don't know. I'm rambling. I'm kind of just yapping random words, but I really enjoyed the event, and I really hope that I get to feel the same way that I did when I was there last time, because I don't know how to describe it. When I entered that room, yes, I did say I was like very stressed and anxious, but at the same time, there was like a feeling of like, holy shit, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen, because everyone just has like their own armies, and it's like all their models, and it's like super cool. I was like mind blown with how cool it was, just like seeing all the different like units and all the different factions, and I don't know what to say. It was just amazing. And also another thing I forgot to mention, lots of nice people at the events. Some people lended me units even to assist. Like for example, I started the game with like 2 basilisks and some like multi-core thing, I think, and I was even given like an Inquisition squad, which I ended up using to like reveal intel that the Necron cannon was going to shoot the Star of Yarok, or the Station of Yarok, or whatever the fuck it's called. I think both names are correct. I don't know. But in short, everyone at the event was really nice. Like I keep saying, people were great. It was a chilling event. Absolutely wonderful. And as I keep saying, I really hope that I get to feel the same way in the next Thanatos. Actually, I think they changed the name for the next one. I think it's like a different planet, or something along those lines. We'll figure it out when we actually get there, but anyway, thank you for watching this video. I'm really sorry for how like unorganized and how much yapping I did. This video is like 6 months behind schedule, because this event happened all the way back in June. So I was getting more and more stressed with like producing this video, and honestly, now that I'm like kind of yapping and saying all this at the end of the video, I feel super relieved that this is now over, to be honest. Not because I disliked the event, but because I disliked editing this video, because every month I was not making it, I was just kind of like getting more stressed about it. But anyway, as I said, thank you for watching, and I promise that the next time I do a video about going to Thanatos, it'll be much better, because I'll be a bit more prepared, and I'll actually take notes, and more photos, because I think that's something I do regret, is that I didn't take more photos at the event. A lot of the photos that I used in this video are from other people that were taking photos, so a massive thank you to the Mordian community for actually taking photos, unlike me. So, but yeah, anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys probably in a stream, like today or tomorrow. But anyway, thank you for watching, see you till next time, goodbye.
To his credit, he didn't give up. And he held the line. Although I am led to believe that he did do a bit of a gelt maneuver, and towards the final turns of the event got his warlord model off the board. You guys are here. I'm gonna get help. And so what ended up happening is, actually, though Commander Conrad abandoned the field, though Commander Conrad got pretty much tabled, at the end of the day, he did a very, very good job of holding the line, and he did a very, very good job of keeping those Meganobs away from the command bunker, which tactically is a very good thing, a very sound thing. He bought time, and narratively, it makes sense as well. There is nothing more narrative than a guard commander. There's nothing more narrative than a guard commander facing impossible odds and being given one simple 3-word order: hold the line.